about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
All right. We are back on Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So one thing I really couldn't stand my parents for was them being so hard on me if I did something half-ass. If I did something halfway, or if I didn't do it right, they would be on me like, I don't know, what's the term, analogy, something on glue. Right? And I grew a work ethic out of that. And now I sound like them when I look at something or I see something or I watch a horrible movie or I see a TV show that went lazy or I see, a medical professional, do something wrong. And I'm like, it's half-assed. You don't do things halfway. If you're going to do something, you do it right. And now I'm starting to sound, like my parents. And I was really, really frustrated. And I also kind of instill that in my kids. I'm like, look, if you're going to do a job, you do it right. If not, don't do it. Because I would rather you not do the job than do something where people are expecting it to be done right and it's half-assed. And in medicine, you cannot do anything halfway. Everything you do has got to be with the, it has to be with the utmost work ethic and done right. And so what's frustrating to me is whether I see it in medicine, whether I see it in Hollywood, whether I just see it in other, like you see these, food recalls or you see these drug recalls. Didn't anybody do their QA? Didn't anybody do their quality assurance? Isn't anybody double checking what they're doing? And it's frustrating. And what's interesting now, I didn't get a chance to watch the whole speech, but President Trump is now addressing the UN. And without saying it, like I just did, he's basically telling them how half-assed they've been. In fact, I guess the escalator was broken and he and Melania had to go up steps and then the teleprompter was broken. This is the UN. And you're having world leaders meet. You really can't have everything working. And also, as I've said, the UN was created after Nazi Germany and the fall of Hitler because we wanted to ensure that no fascist regime could do the barbarism and the genocide and the cruel and hostile environment that Germany was able to get away with in the 30s and 40s. Again, that's why the UN was established. And here Donald Trump is talking about how he has stopped multiple wars and the UN hasn't even lifted a finger, not even to help. He said, I ended 7 wars, dealt with leaders of each country, and never even received a call from the UN offering to help in finalizing the deal. He says, the United Nations wasn't here for us. They weren't there. I thought of it after the fact, not during these negotiations. What is the purpose of the UN? It's not even coming close to living up to that potential. He said, these are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. He also talked about that as a real estate developer, he was bidding to do a renovation on the building. And he was going to do it for $500 million. The United Nations decided to go with somebody else who was more expensive, and they got a far inferior product. And so, he takes this time in front of the UN to basically scold him. And I think he's right. And as a doctor, as a mom, as an American, you don't want things done halfway. If you're going to have something, especially something like the UN, which is very, very costly, do it right. And what is one of the things they are doing that's going to be completely half-assed? Well, they're voting to reward Hamas for the October 7th massacre on Israelis, which also included Americans and nationals from other countries, by giving them their own Palestinian state. Really? They're going to reward Hamas? You want Hamas to run things? Do you know how horrible it is for Palestinians right now in Hamas? You can't be LGBTQAI plus. You can't have the same rights that you can in America, in Israel, in Europe. I mean, it's a dangerous place, and they want to reward Hamas and reward terrorism by giving them their own state, their own country. The UN has problems. And I think it takes us as Americans to say, stop it. We're done with the half-ass. And to see President Trump get up there in front of the UN and rip them a new one is pretty admirable, right? And I know he's not making a lot of friends. I know a lot of people dislike that about him. They want him to be more suave. They want him to get along with others. I don't think that's what the average American wants. I think what the average American wants is results. I think they want Trump to say what other people are afraid to say. And he does that. And for those of us going, why didn't the UN help get the hostages out? You know, why did the UN allow all the mayhem and that's been going on? Why didn't, where was the UN? And he's bringing that up now. And I think all of us need to do that. I mean, we watch a Jimmy Kimmel monologue and it's horrible. It's not funny. And it insults, those impacted by the, Charlie Kirk assassination. And it ridicules somebody who was murdered, and nobody says anything. It's that's good. This is all funny. This is good humor. No, quit being half-assed. 1-877 Doc Dolly. Don't go away. Back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So last year I talked to you guys about how I get a lot of patients that'll call in brain fog, fatigue, itching, headaches, diarrhea. And I don't always screen for indolent systemic mastocytosis. And it's a rare disease, but it's probably one of the most commonly missed diseases. And so I am really excited about our next guest. We have Jackie, a retired nurse with indolent systemic mastocytosis, as well as Dr. Doreen Siri, an allergist and immunologist, to talk to us about what this is and what to look for. Jackie, we are so grateful, you and Dr. Siri, to come on. I'm going to start with you. Can you talk to us about your journey with indolent systemic mastocytosis? What were, some of the symptoms you experienced and how your doctor concluded that that's what was going on?
Certainly. I started having symptoms back in the 1990s when I was working as a nurse. I had migraine headaches, an itchy rash on my neck and my chest. I had stomach problems. I had GI problems, a lot of diarrhea. I had a lot of itchiness all over my body. I would have blood blisters the size of marbles in my mouth. It was just a messy situation. And I brushed those symptoms back and just thought it was the stress of my job until the symptoms did not go away. And that's when I started seeking medical help. And I went to many, many doctors who didn't have a good grip on it or didn't understand it. And finally, in 2014, I was diagnosed with ISM after a bone marrow biopsy and a blood test. So it took almost 25 years to get there.
Wow, wow. Dr. Siri, talk to us about ISM and how it impacts patients.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here to talk to you about ISM. This is obviously in partnership with Blueprint Medicine, that manufactures, of course, AYVAKIT to treat it. Simply put, ISM, you've touched on a lot of those points already. It is patients who have these constellation of symptoms. They have brain fog, they have a weird skin rash, they have allergic type symptoms like anaphylaxis, hives, flushing. They don't know what's going on, but it's certainly out of proportion to a regular allergy patient. They may even think they have new onset food allergies to multiple foods, and now they feel like they're sensitive to a bunch of chemicals and smells, and so really, really debilitating to some patients. Simply put, it is an overactive immune system. The mast cell, M-A-S-T cell, a regular, as you know, immune cell in our bodies, a white cell that now genetically mutated and is manufacturing day and night, and now we have too many mast cells, and they invade the skin, the gut, the nervous system, and that's why we have these symptoms. And we all know that mast cells are responsible for allergies as well, so that's why people think they're having allergic reactions, because there's just way too much histamine and other chemicals now being produced from these mast cells.
You know, many patients, they struggle to have a primary care provider. Some insurances allow them to go straight to a specialist, and patients will call up, because I work for a telemedicine company, going, where should I go? Should I go to an allergist? Should I go to a dermatologist? Because so many primary care providers are not necessarily trained, and having a grip, as Jackie said on this, which specialist do you recommend that they see? The allergist, immunologist, dermatologist, hematologist? Who would you recommend they start with?
I think that really depends on the symptom that they're actually having the worst. So many patients end up seeing a dermatologist if they have a skin rash. But like you and I, there are a lot of patients who basically present to us like they don't have a rash. So you and I take care of these patients who don't have a rash, but they have these other symptoms, like weird allergies. So in that case, I think an allergist immunologist is definitely appropriate, or even just family medicine, primary care saying, hey, these allergies are out of proportion to what I really think is going on. Maybe a blood test is run. I don't really have that many allergies. What's going on? Let's see if I can get a referral.
Exactly. And now we have a fantastic treatment for that. Talk to us about the treatment.
Yes. Is it okay if I start, Jackie?
Yes.
So the treatment is something called AYVAKIT. It is not an antihistamine. It's not something you get over the counter. It's the first and only FDA-approved medication for the treatment of indolent systemic mastocytosis. It is a precision medicine. It specifically targets that gene mutation that occurs in most people with the indolent form of systemic mastocytosis, so it interrupts the manufacture of those mast cells. So in clinical trials, of course, we saw a decreased burden of mast cells, but also those symptoms, 50% reduction or more of brain fog, skin symptoms, gut symptoms, allergic type symptoms, so really helpful.
That's fantastic. And Jackie has experience with it. Talk to us, Jackie, about how the treatment has gone.
I started taking AYVAKIT 2 years ago, just after it was approved by the FDA for ISM treatment. And I had a chat with my doctor about it before I started it, and he told me about the possible side effects and what I could expect. And yes, I did have some side effects, but they only lasted maybe 3 weeks, and then my symptoms that I had carried with me for years started going away, and within about 6 months, about 80% of the symptoms were gone.
Wow. It's interesting because a lot of us will just live with the symptoms, and we struggle, and we're obviously we want to use a drug that's safe. We want a drug with minimal side effects. But I have patients who suffer from various illnesses, and they struggle so much that they're struggling more than what a side effect could be. And so you really have to have that balance. And so can I ask what side effects you had that were transient?
Yes. I became very short of breath, and I had trouble standing up straight, very fatigued, and I had brain fog.
Now, how's your functioning now? How do you feel now?
Great. Those symptoms went away within about 3 weeks.
Wow. Wonderful. Dr. Siri, so, this therapy is a great option. What do you recommend for patients who have ISM and these symptoms?
Yes, absolutely. Of course, the first step is diagnosis. It's a simple blood test, which is a blood spot. It doesn't even require a whole tube of blood. So blood spot test. And if they meet criteria, then we go on to do a bone marrow biopsy. And in those patients, if they're taking baseline usual medications for their symptoms, not getting relief, then Ayvakit would be appropriate. And these symptom side effects that Jackie had, the most common are swelling around the eyes, swelling in the extremities. We don't give it to patients who have really low platelets, but otherwise it's been really well tolerated in my patients as well. And it does have to be monitored by a physician, whether it's you or me or someone pretty closely.
I agree with that. It is easily tolerated.
Love it. Jackie, any other advice you have for patients who are struggling like you had?
Absolutely. Number one, you're not alone. There are many people available to help you. You just have to find the right group of people to do that. Search for a physician who is willing to listen to you and validates what you have to say. Secondly, understand the illness. Go online, Google ISM, and learn at your own pace. There are several support groups out there. Perhaps you could join one of those, or just go on one of the sites and read what they have to say. And thirdly, never give up.
Jackie, thank you so much for coming on. Dr. Siri, where can my viewers go for more information?
Absolutely. You can go to ayvakit.com. It's AYVAKIT.com. There's general information about ISM. There's information about the medication, and certainly other resources like, Mast Cell Society is really helpful for kind of the general public as well.
Dr. Doreen Siri, Jackie, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on. We really, really appreciate it, and we can't wait to have you back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
1-877-DOC-A-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Another take-home message from this is, if you don't think your doctor is listening, and it could just be they haven't been trained in shall we say ISM, or don't give up. If you think something's wrong, get yourself checked out, and sometimes it takes seeing a specialist if you need to. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Hi, it's Mark Falter, host of the Financial Fitness Show. I strongly believe that no one should ever pay 1 penny more in taxes than they are legally obligated. Unfortunately, for most hardworking Americans, this just isn't the case. Why? Because most people spend more time planning next weekend's getaway than trying to ensure they're going to pay less in taxes. My financial fitness team has put together some materials that I know are going to help you. It's the Tax Savings Kit. Tax Savings Kit includes 3 things: free tax analysis, top 10 ways to pay less in taxes, and an investor's guide to taxes. Now, how do you get it? Simple. 866-764-2635. Again, 866-764-2635. I'm Mark Falter. This is Financial Fitness, making personal finance profitable.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So there's been a variety of statistics looking at cancer. When I was in medical school, we were taught that 1 in 2 people will get some sort of cancer in their life, even if it's a benign tumor. American Cancer Society says 1 in 3 Americans face a risk of cancer diagnosis in their lifetime. And in my family, breast cancer is common. Breast cancer affects 1 in 8 of us. But I got to tell you, the people surviving breast cancer are sharing their story, reaching out, and saving lives. And one such person I'm so excited to have is Broadway actress, cancer survivor, and advocate, social media influencer, Sarah Bentley. She is teaming up with AFLAC to launch a new campaign called Checked for Cancer, with the goal of increasing early cancer screenings by 10% over the next decade. As you know, Sarah Bentley is a Broadway actress and co-founder of A Chance for Life. A Chance for Life is a nonprofit that funds surrogacy for breast cancer survivors. Wow. Sarah, we are so excited to have you. Welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Dr. Daliah. I'm thrilled to be here to share my story and to tell you a little bit more about this amazing campaign with AFLAC.
Yeah, and it's not easy. I mean, you were diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. You were only 38 years old. And, that's very traumatizing. And here you are, willing to share, your cancer journey. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, my story is my superpower, right? And by telling it, I hope to reach at least one of your listeners. I had an itch underneath my armpit. I went down to scratch it, and I found a lump the size of a walnut. And my doctors, they brushed it. They didn't think it was anything serious, but I know my body so well, as a professional dancer and a yogi, and I just knew something wasn't right. So I advocated fiercely for more tests, and eventually, after multiple biopsies, I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. And, that's why I've teamed up with AFLAC on the Check for Cancer campaign, because of my advocacy for myself and my own health, I saved my own life. And I want to help others do the same. I mean, early detection, it really matters.
So true. And I can't tell you how many times patients feel intimidated by their medical provider because they say, no, you're too young. Or, no, it's nothing. In fact, we opened the show talking about itching and how sometimes an itch is a sign that you could have something underlying. So, it's just so telling that these are the ways your body, like you said, your body. And so thank God it was caught at stage 2. And so how did your treatment go and your recovery?
Yeah, I thank God every day for that itch, Dr. Daliah. I'm telling you. Thank you, itch. But yeah, I was diagnosed at stage 2, which is considered early stage breast cancer. And there's no easy stage of breast cancer. I mean, this rocked my life and changed the entire course of it. However, the most important thing I want everyone to hear is that because it was caught early, it was treatable, right? And this is why AFLAC is here to talk about this Check for Cancer campaign with myself, because they're like a lot more than just an insurance company, and a lot of people don't know that, but they're pioneers when it comes to cancer insurance. So raising awareness through this campaign together, we hope to increase cancer screenings by 10% in the next 10 years. It's such an important message.
Love it, love it. So talk to us about Check for Cancer.
Yeah. All right, this is a wild stat. Are you ready? AFLAC did a study showing that 60% of people skip their routine medical exams and screenings. Yet we know that early detection can boost survival rates above 90%. And that's why we're here with this movement. And we want to make it very simple for everyone, right? So checkered patterns, a chessboard, a checkered flag, a checkered pair of sneakers. Anytime you see a check, you're reminded to get checked. And
Brilliant.
Not only that, but the social, it's so great, right? I mean, it's so obvious. It's right in front of you. There's checkers everywhere. And the social media component is that every time you post using hashtag Check for Cancer, AFLAC contributes $5 to childhood cancer care and research up to $1 million. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm doing my mammogram in November, and we got Breast Cancer Awareness Month coming up. We have so absolutely hashtag Check for Cancer, because wow, you're helping save children's lives and adults' lives with reminding them of such a great campaign. We're speaking with Broadway actress, cancer survivor, and advocate social media influencer Sarah Bentley. So 60% of people avoid routine health checkups from the AFLAC survey. So, we think we know why, but how do you, I know as a doctor, but that's kind of intimidating. How do you send that message, resonate that message to those individuals who are apprehensive about going and getting checked?
Yeah, when I felt that lump, I already was terrified, right? What could it be? What could they tell me? If I go to get checked, what if they tell me it's cancer? And I almost stopped at the front door of the radiologist's office because of that fear. And I took a deep breath and I said, knowledge is power. Because you know what's scarier? Not knowing. And if I wouldn't have gotten those tests, my doctor said my cancer was so aggressive, I could have been stage 4 if I would have waited just a few more months. And this is what I want you to walk away with. The data on early detection is all around us. It's everywhere. With early detection, most cancers are far more treatable, right? So don't wait. Take a deep breath and know knowledge is your power.
So true. So what's next for you in your career?
Yeah, speaking of power, my story is my superpower. So I'm going to continue to tell it wherever people will hear it, through this campaign with AFLAC, Check for Cancer, and through my advocacy for all cancer survivors and people going through it, as well as with my nonprofit. We raise money to give full surrogacy journeys to breast cancer survivors. As a new mama, I'm a mama of a 20-month-old baby boy, brought here via surrogacy. I got my chance. His name is Chance. After breast cancer, and I want to have women be able to have their chance too.
Oh my gosh! Well, you are. I had a friend of mine that had stage 3 cervical cancer, and she was like, "How could this happen to me?" And she survived it. And I go, sometimes I feel this is God's way or nature's way of protecting others by people such as yourself with such enthusiasm and passion, for other people, to save lives. And so, it's a shame you had to go through what you went through, but you're turning it into something good. And God bless you for that. I really appreciate what you and AFLAC are doing.
Well, thank you, Dr. Dahlia. Yeah, that's why, teaming up with AFLAC, who is just as passionate as I am about helping people have the right kind of information to know that checking for cancer is giving you a leg up on anything that could be happening in your body is a very, it's what I aim to do. So I want to let you guys know, though, if you want to have any more information on this campaign, there's so much more to talk about. AFLAC.com/checkforcancer. All of the resources are there, screening checklists, employers, toolkits, and just all the good ways to get proactive about your own health.
Absolutely. Thank you. I was going to ask where to get more information. One more time, if you could give us the website.
Yes. Get your pens out. AFLAC.com/checkforcancer.
Wonderful. Hashtag Check for Cancer. Love you, Sarah, so much. Can't wait to have you back. Thank you and AFLAC for all you do.
Thank you, Dr. Dahlia.
Anytime. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So when I had my breast cancer scare, I was, because I had blood coming from one side, one breast, and that's never anything good. And I'm sitting there waiting for my mammogram and for my biopsy, and I'm hearing people giggle, in the back of the doctor's office and things. And I'm just thinking to myself, going, gosh, why can't I be like them? Why can't I, why can't I, ignorance is bliss sort of thing. But I got to tell you, catching something early and getting ahead of it is actually the blessing. And so, I understand it's intimidating to go and get checked out. I get it. It's not easy. I hate going to the doctor, and I am a doctor. But get yourself checked out. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did, and just maybe someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
For tuning in, 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. I tell you, these TikTok challenges are driving me crazy. Remember the stupid Tide Pod challenge, and then you had the cinnamon challenge, and people just, I mean, hurting themselves to get some social media cred. Sadly, we have a 12-year-old boy who suffered horrific burns from another fire-induced or involved TikTok challenge. He, according to The Independent, Caden Ballard and his older brother saw a video on an app that showed rubbing alcohol into a bottle, igniting it, and creating a flame that shot up in the bottle. When Caden tried to replicate the experiment, it resulted, obviously, in a disaster. He ends up becoming hospitalized with serious burns. Caden Ballard told KXAN that he and his brother had attempted to recreate the TikTok video on August 16th. After the experiment initially seemed to work, Caden's brother instructed him to get rid of the bottle, but it was still hazardous. He said, "My brother grabbed and said, 'Here, throw it away.' So I grabbed it to throw it in the trash, and my shirt was on fire." Without knowing, the boys had used isopropyl alcohol, which could produce an invisible flame when ignited. This led to Caden suffering 2nd to 3rd degree burns covering 11% of his body. His mom was home, but in another part of the house. I am sure she freaked out. A friend overheard the boys calling 911, alerted her to the emergency. Face, chest, arms, stomach covered in burns, looked like the skin had been melted away. Why? Because of TikTok. Now, the older brother, who Caden was with, quickly removed his shirt, instructed him to stop, drop, and roll to extinguish the flames and reduce the damage. Caden was rushed to the burn unit in Dallas, is set to be transferred to a children's burn unit in Galveston, Texas. There's a GoFundMe page, and this was just a stupid video people saw on TikTok, and they're challenges that these kids do because, well, I want to say I tried it. I want to say I did that. My boys just hiked up Mount Charleston, which is a pretty high peak. It's about 11,900 feet. Not easy. They almost hurt themselves pretty badly as a result. They ran out of water, and one had a knee issue, so one had altitude sickness. So me and my husband had decided, I was like, something tells me they're going to struggle coming back down. I know they got up there okay, but I'm glad we did. So we hiked 3-4 hours in, still didn't see them. And by the time we got to them, we saw they were having some issues, and we had to help them out. And we didn't get down the mountain until about 11 o'clock at night. It was a rough day, but I understand people saying, I want to, summit a mountain. I want to say I hiked the Grand Canyon. I want to say I did this. I get that we want to make goals, but these TikTok challenges or these online or YouTube challenges where people end up really hurting themselves. We spoke about some of these challenges that are out there. I mean, there's the condom challenge where somebody would stick a condom up their nose and then pull it out of their mouth, or fill it up with water and then drop it on somebody. I mean, there was the vacuum trash bag challenge. I saw a video where the parent was enveloping his child in a garbage bag, sucking out the air with a vacuum. And then the inmate, whoever's in this bag, topples over. They could asphyxiate. They could get fractures. They could stroke. What are you doing? The boiling water challenge. I don't know where this came from, where kids would drink boiling water from a straw or have it poured all over their body. There was the fire challenge where you put rubbing alcohol on your body, set yourself on fire, and then a video records the victim running into a tub or shower to wash it off. A 12-year-old girl from Detroit participated in that challenge. She got burns on 50% of her body. I mean, what is going on here? How does the younger generation not understand that this is dangerous? These are stupid. It's because they see a video where the person is giggling. It goes viral. They go, I want to make money. I could be making money. I could become an influencer doing this. And the greed and the lack of comprehension and the immaturity, that combination can be deadly. The choking challenge is where kids would suffocate themselves for the high of feeling asphyxiated. The stupid Tide Pod challenge where people would put the little cleaning packets into their mouths. Yeah, and people were blaming Tide Pod. I don't really think I could blame Tide. You're making pods for laundry service. Now I get how they might be attracted to little kids. It looks like a little eye. They look like a little pillow of candy. I understand how you need to make sure that the containers are child-proof and there's warnings, but Tide never expected, nor did any of us, that adults and kids would be sticking these things in their mouth. The cinnamon challenge was where people would inhale the kitchen spice and they would cough until they puked. This is so stupid. There's alcohol challenges where people are mixing up and drinking 11.5% volume alcohol. I mean, just aggressive amounts of alcohol to the point that they're getting drunk and vomiting. And it's, they could kill themselves. Alcohol poisoning is so dangerous. And we speak about this all the time around New Year's, around school time, but a human body will break down alcohol at a rate of an ounce an hour. So if the average shot glass contains anywhere from a half an ounce to 1.5 ounces, and you take in 4 shots in one setting, it's going to take at least 4 hours, assuming your liver is working at ideal efficiency, to pass that. People always wonder, how did I get a DUI? How do you get, not me, but how they'll get a DUI like, I don't understand. I only had a few drinks. If your body doesn't metabolize it, your alcohol level goes up. As a defensive mechanism, you throw up. One of the first signs of acute alcohol poisoning is you're throwing up because the body is like, let's get this out of us. Then you could drop your respiratory rate. You could become unconscious. If you start to vomit while you're unconscious, you could aspirate. When people ask, how do these college kids die? Some of them, they die because they aspirate or they inhale their own vomit. We see people passed out at parties and we just walk over them and we go home. I would call 911. I would get these people, how do you know what their respiratory rate is, what their liver function is doing, if they're going to throw up? Loss of brain function, dilation of blood vessels, blood pressure spikes, sugar drops. It's just, and why? Because these kids want to be famous. These kids want to do what other people are doing. And it's something that I've been, I just never thought that we would evolve to be that dumb. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
Looking for an easy read that can actually help secure someone's future? Pick up a copy of Mark Falter's book, Common Sense Income Strategies. For the past 30-plus years, Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. It's not rocket science, it's a pretty easy read. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. Common Sense Income Strategies is available now on Amazon or by calling 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Common Sense Income Strategies by Financial Fitness Show host Mark Falter. Secure your financial future today.
You are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So the shooting that happened in Dallas at an ICE facility has been an evolving situation. And as I told you, as soon as we get any more breaking news, I'll let you know. We are now being told that 2 detainees are dead and another is in serious condition following the shooting that happened this morning at about 7 a.m. Central Time at a U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement field office in Dallas, where many migrants get processed or there for about 72 hours before they are then sent, I believe, to another facility or deported. The FBI is currently investigating this as an act of targeted violence, according to Special Agent in Charge Joe Rothrock. None of the individuals shot were ICE members or members of law enforcement. At least 2 detainees are among the victims, according to law enforcement officials, and CNN is reporting this. The shooter is dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. The shooter opened fire from an elevated position. I believe his name was Joshua John, J-A-H-N, 29 years old. The casings of the bullets that were found on his body had anti-ICE messages. Some just saying straight out anti-ICE. We did not get a lot of details at the last conference. The mayor did come out, the mayor of Dallas, to speak, to hold prayer. As the situation is evolving, they don't believe there's any more of a threat. They believe the person that shot himself was the main suspect. But we worry that our other, shall we say, ICE facilities going to be targeted. Are other migrants going to be targeted? And why were the migrants targeted? Was somebody fearful of what they would say, of what they would be interrogated about? This is, it's very unsettling. And these individuals are in vulnerable positions because they are being detained, so they can't necessarily protect themselves, take cover. They are, here illegally, don't know much about who possibly were detained and if they had any criminal backgrounds or not. But unfortunately, these appear to be individuals targeted. Now, we don't have shall we say, any confirmation of the true motive. All we know is that he didn't shoot at ICE agents. He shot, I believe, at the van holding the migrants, which is odd because if you're anti-ICE, why would you hurt the migrants or hurt the detainees? So that's very confusing. And then one report said, even though he was a sniper, or he held a position as a sniper, he shot indiscriminately. So we keep seeing, throughout the country, whether it's politicians or media, the rhetoric, this anti-ICE rhetoric, this calling the Trump administration fascist, the making people hate and look at, America trying to address the immigration problem Biden gave us, as fascism or Nazism or obstructive. And I really get frustrated because moves like Governor Newsom saying, no masks if you're going to be in law enforcement. He goes, what are you hiding from? Really? He's being such a smartass. He knows gosh darn well what the risks are to agents who are trying to apprehend gang members or cartel members. He knows exactly. And if you were really for humanity and for protecting the lives of humans, then wouldn't you want law enforcement to be able to protect themselves as well? Now, these are political games that are playing with people's lives. And I read to you some of the immigration policies of Canada. They're stricter than America. You lie on a form, you misrepresent, you're there illegally, you get deported. No ifs, ands, or buts. So why aren't we seeing all these protests in Canada? Well, because Canada doesn't have to do the widespread deportation because they didn't have the widespread immigration issue that we had. Trump is cleaning up Biden's mess, and we knew this would happen. Biden knew exactly. In fact, boy, did they let that border flood right before Trump took over, because that would just give Trump more work to do and give the optics of, wow, look at him. He's deporting so many. This is frightening. And it's frightening to think that our ICE agents continue to get attacked, whether it's Molotov cocktails, whether it's sandwiches, whether it's things being thrown at them, whether it's bullets. And then now it's also including, some of the migrants and the individuals that are being detained or who came over here illegally. And so we're waiting to see what could be going on. 2 detainees were killed, one in serious condition. And this, now, of course, many individuals are concerned that they if they are, shall we say, in ICE custody, is there enough protection for them? This shouldn't have happened. The shooting should not have happened. And unfortunately, there's work that needs to be done that is not getting the support that is needed by local officials or politicians or the media. And lives are at stake. I don't want to see anybody get shot. I don't want to see anybody at risk who's doing their job. And you try to, come into a country illegally, and you try to climb walls or do any of what was done here in America under Biden administration with any other country, you'd be out. And people are so shocked, going, "Oh my gosh, we're deporting MS-13 agents. We're deporting people." Yes, we're going to deport gang members. We're going to deport criminals. If somebody comes here legally, what incentive do they have to come here legally if somebody illegally is able to get benefits and not have to go through the process? It's not an easy process to become a legal citizen. My family had to do it. So people wanting to be able to do it without going through the process, that's scary. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Let's face it, guys, we're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's Aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at Aftermath.media. Again, that's Aftermath.media.
Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So, as you know, Trump is trying to make America great again, make America healthy again, make children healthy again, and now he wants to make America affordable again. So the first thing people look at is, well, what's going on with their Thanksgiving dinner? Apparently, Thanksgiving dinner is going to be 5% cheaper than it was last year. Now, egg prices are going down. A lot of parts of foods are going down. If you order beef, though, beef is going to go up. Beef prices are up. But Thanksgiving dinner about 5% cheaper. The problem is with inflation and people aren't noticing it. In fact, people are still concerned that they're paying more at the grocery store than they used to. Gas prices are down. Many states have gas in the $2 level. Where I live, still most gas stations are, Nevada has some of the highest priced gas. But when you're in Texas and the Gulf states, the gas prices are cheaper. The closer you are to the refineries and where they're pumping and oil, it's a little cheaper. But you go out west, gas prices are still high, unfortunately. But they're still way down from 2022. So that's a good sign. But, Trump wants to make America affordable again. I hope he does it. Just how? So one thing that has been looked at is the 50-year mortgage. Now, I am no financial expert, but to own a home for 50 years and to owe the bank for 50 years doesn't, to me, sound like a great deal. Interest screws you. However, that is being touted as a possible solution to get people into a house. At least then their money isn't going to rent and their money is at least going to equity. So I don't know. A 50-year mortgage means you can amortize the rest of the balance of your loan over 50 years. That makes a 30-year loan much cheaper in terms of your monthly payments and gets people into a house sooner. I'm a little nervous because I believe it was during the Clinton years where they had 0% financing so you could get into a home with no money down. And then people had the balloon payment, and that then caused the housing crisis a decade later. I want us to be very, very careful, to promise, look, you'll get into a house and then just deal with the payments later. Because the problem with politicians is they want to show what they did in their 4 years. And yeah, you could get a lot of people into homes, but what is going to happen 10 years from now? Are they going to have balloon payments? Are they not going to be able to, pay off a 50-year mortgage? And then who deals with the ramifications then? But the housing crisis that happened and I remember patients telling me that they're not even paying on their house anymore. They're just not paying. And they get to live rent-free. Nobody's kicking them out because there's too many people that need to get evicted. So one person said they were, living in their house for free for a while. And then I remember another one of my patients said, Dahlia, look at this. I got into a $500,000 home. This is where I live now. I go, that's awesome. Where are you working? He's like, same place. I go, you work at 7-Eleven. He's like, yeah. I go, well, that's awesome. But really, they're paying you that much to have a $500,000 home? No. But I got in with no down payment. So I'm going to live here until they kick me out. Well, that sort of attitude is not the healthiest for the economy. So I'm not exactly sure but apparently one of the ideas they have is how do we get people into a home cheaper if we can't get the home prices down? Well, you could try to build more homes, but the lumber and all that, these homes are getting more expensive and the real estate's getting more expensive. So maybe we get people into a home cheaper by lowering their monthly payment. So I see the logic. It's just I don't know if it's the best idea. And then, avian flu. Avian flu and the bird flu affected, I think, a lot of our chicken prices and egg prices. Well, that got curbed. And I know they've been talking about vaccines, and a lot of people do not want a vaccine in their poultry. They're a little nervous about consuming something. Although, we've used anti-pathogen measures in our food for a while, but many people are concerned about that. And so I don't know if that was there was a popular sentiment among farmers during the Biden years for the vaccine. But if avian flu comes back, and it's starting to in other countries, that could then affect our food prices and go up. So to make America affordable again, what does Trump need to do? All right, because we don't want empty promises, but he is a money guy. And if anybody is going to at least make a dent in these high prices, I think he has some ideas. Well, first and foremost, we got to deal with the medications and the pharmaceuticals, which he's working on. And, we're not going to pay more for what, other countries are buying for the same product. And that was brilliant. I think other presidents would have wanted to do the same. They just didn't have the cojones. Trump has that pull. He told Big Pharma, you're not charging America more than Canada, France, Italy, not happening. We pay the same. And prices are going to come down. He's also launching that Trump RX that'll allow people to get their Ozempic and Mounjaro and Wegovy and their weight loss drugs and other drugs cheaper. They think it's going to start at about $350 a month and then go down to $275. That's a lot different than $1,100 a month. So getting medical prices down allows people to shift less money towards their medications to other things. Then food. Well, let's look at what we're spending on for food. SNAP benefits. SNAP benefits should not be going to, we have, I think 1 in 5 people in D.C. are on SNAP benefits. So we have a lot of people requiring SNAP benefits. Okay, well, if they work, and if there are work requirements for healthy people that aren't, disabled, then that can help put more money into the system, not to mention, hopefully, eliminate the need for them needing the SNAP benefits. But have SNAP benefits for healthy food. If we have people eat healthy food, then maybe it'll be, we'll get it back tenfold in terms of health, economy, etc. So don't waste money on bad food. We also need to assist our farmers. The farmers got really screwed over during COVID because of the lockdown. And I don't understand why we didn't learn our lesson, especially with the senators not wanting to sign the CR with this shutdown. So you had farmers that were working on a supply and demand model, and then COVID happens. And even though they allowed marijuana dispensaries to be open, they wouldn't allow restaurants to be open. And I mean, these marijuana dispensaries, the lines were going out the door. I mean, people flood marijuana dispensaries, but they said, no, but no restaurants. Your dental office has to be closed. It made no sense. So now all these restaurants are closed. So where they had to distribute the food, nobody was buying. So we heard a lot of this food, if they couldn't shift or store it or figure out where it goes, they end up losing that money. Well, now you have all those losses. You got to make up those losses. Plus, now how much you grow the next year? When is the lockdown going to end? So these farmers got screwed over. Then they made less food because it costs money to farm, costs money to ranch, it costs money to do this. If no one's buying it, now you have fewer supply, demand goes up, now prices go up. So, and it has taken years to try to recuperate from that. We're going to see that with the airlines. Your flight next year is going to be through the roof, people, because they had to make up for what happened with the shutdown. You could say, pretty please don't do that, but no, they got bills to pay. They're going to want to make up the 43 days of lost revenue from the government shutdown and all the cancellations and the refunds they had to give. So what we need to do to make America affordable again is stop locking down, stop shutting down. All right? That's ridiculous. We need to probably revamp Obamacare. And we're looking at all these subsidies, and all that money could go to other things that could help drive prices down. Instead, that money is going to insurance companies to buy down a premium for a high deductible insurance. It just doesn't work. So looking at where we're spending, and then bring the money in. I love the idea of an external revenue service. If these tariffs are bringing money in, give that money to the Americans. I understand we got to bring down the debt, but let Americans get some of these DOGE tax dollars that were wasted and some of this tariff money back into their pockets. Now, Trump does have a plan on his website. He wants to continue to tame inflation. He says breakfast basics index has gone down. 14% everyday essential index has also gone down. Toothpaste, shampoo, toilet paper. They say Americans are seeing prices decline on batteries, computers, etc., fueling wage growth. So if you feel it, great. If you don't feel it, it's not great. So we got to make America affordable again. It's going to take some work. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
My name is Jim. I'm a veteran, and I lost both legs in Vietnam. My victory was proving that disability is not a limitation.
I'm Julius. I'm a veteran. My victory was going from homeless to home.
At DAV, we're on a mission, helping veterans of all generations get the benefits they've earned.
I'm Cece. My victory was finishing my education.
When America's veterans win, we all win. Help us support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
We, the people, are guaranteed 5 freedoms in the First Amendment.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of religion.
Freedom of the press.
Freedom to peaceably assemble.
Freedom to petition the government.
Only the United States has these 5 freedoms so simply bound together and guaranteed. Think first. Learn more at thinkfirstamendment.org.
Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So many of you are considering getting a flu shot. You know, I've been a fan of the flu shot. It's frustrating that at its highest efficacy, it's about 60% effective. In a good year, it's about 60% effective. In a bad year, we've seen 15%, 20% effectiveness, which doesn't mean it's useless. It's what that means is its ability to prevent serious flu is still there. It still saves millions of lives, but it's not going to be 100%. Like, you get the shot, you are definitely not getting flu. And the reason why is for us to come up with our flu shot and have it ready by end of August, early September, we have to figure out what is going to be in the flu shot by February the season before. So around Super Bowl time, we had to figure out what you needed for this year's flu. And that's before flu season of the Southern Hemisphere. Everybody always says, well, what we do is we go by the Southern Hemisphere, we see what happens in Australia, and then we take Australians' flu virus and we decide to work with that one. There's no time. Australians' flu season starts in May and ends in November. So their flu season is now. They're peaking now. So we don't have time to now figure out that strain, manufacture it, distribute it, get it to the pharmacies, because we already have to have the flu shot out and ready to go. So the most common shot is the inactivated vaccine. And the inactivated form is where they take the virus and they basically kill it. And it's the skeleton, sort of speaking, the outside, the outer body of it, excuse me, that gets injected into you. So it's not active flu. And what's nice about that is it's been tried and trued, and it will hopefully mount an immune response that won't make you sick, that won't give you flu, because it teaches you what the outer core looks like. And they pick the most common strains, that they believe would be, whether it's a Victoria A or Austria B or Phuket B or Darwin A they pick the lineages, H1N1, H3N2, influenza B, influenza A, and then hopefully your body knows how to recognize it, so when flu comes, you won't get as severe a case. Flu is serious. People can die from the flu. Even if they don't die necessarily from the flu virus, you could get pneumonia. That's just the number one cause of flu-related deaths. It could also exacerbate your asthma, seizures, preterm birth, cause miscarriages, heart attacks, stroke. So we don't mess around when it comes to the flu. Flu-related deaths are scary. The Fluzone high dose, we do have higher dose or adjuvants for those who are over 65 that may need something a little stronger. Some individuals also might need to get a booster in January. The other flu shot is the nasal spray. The nasal spray is a live attenuated form where they take the flu, they weaken it down. And so it's a live form of the virus, but it's so weak that it's not supposed to make you sick. We can't give that to everybody. For the flu shot, we give it to everybody over 6 months old. But with the the inactivated form, but the live attenuated nasal spray, those are for those between 2 years old and 49 years old. We do not give them to pregnant patients. We do not give them to those who are immunocompromised or who are older. So some people ask, why then would I get the nasal spray? Well, the nasal spray I thought was fascinating because to me, the flu is a respiratory virus. And I love the idea of priming where the virus is going to come in. Most flu viruses come in respiratorily. So I kind of like the idea when this came out decades ago where you could spray it and then you can prime your respiratory passages. And it had some amazing efficacy. Then the efficacy went down. Then they stopped using it for a while, and then they brought it back. Many people are concerned that if they get the flu shot, they're going to get the flu. And as I said, with the live attenuated, there is a lower risk of that, but with an inactivated vaccine, no. But I've had many patients that tell me, but they get sick. They get the flu shot, and then they get the flu. So how does that happen if they're getting the inactivated form and we're not giving them flu? Well, a few things could be happening. One is, you got the flu shot during flu season. You were exposed. And so, the shot didn't have the 2-week time to, build up your immunity. So you got the flu and there was no time for the shot to work. Another possibility is the shot wasn't effective for you. If at a good year it's 60% effective, some individuals can still get the flu. And, in terms of you feeling like, well, I got the shot and then the next day I got flu. Well, with those individuals, I want to test them. Because if you, this is an interesting phenomenon. Some shots will make you feel sick and will make you feel flu-like. You might get malaise, body aches, fever, just feel ucky. And with that, then that's your immune response. And listen, when I got the COVID booster, I felt horrible. I had chest pain and arm swelling and breast swelling for a month. So that's flu-related. That's I'm sorry, not flu-related. Those are vaccine-related reactions. But if somebody tells me I got the flu shot yesterday and now I have flu, I go, well, let's test you. If you're positive for flu, then that wasn't the vaccine, because one is you're usually exposed to something days before you have symptoms. And now if you're flu positive, you just got the flu because it's circulating, it's around. But when patients tell me, look, Dahlia, I can't get the flu shot, it makes you feel sick. I believe you. And I'm not going to force it. Doesn't make sense. I am going to, though, recommend that you protect yourself. Talk to your medical provider. about other options. Make sure that you are able to, if you do start to get flu-like symptoms, be able to get tested so that you could get on an antiviral for the flu. Make sure you're well rested, fluids, balanced diet. I don't tell people to pop vitamin C tablets, but I do recommend recommend balanced diet so that you can help your immune system. The big mistake we all make is we feel sick, we have a fever, and then we decide to drink orange juice. And why weren't you boning up on your vitamins before? The antivirals are nice in terms of limiting some of the effects, but you notice you have to take those antivirals within 48 to 72 hours of your symptoms. Why? Well, because once the virus takes over, it's not going to interfere with the replication or the attachment. So how viruses work, so a bacteria gets in your system and then it divides, and then it divides, and then it divides, and its numbers multiply. With a virus, it's more exponential, where the virus takes over a cell, makes that cell make new viruses, then it pops, and then all the new baby viruses go to new cells. And so it takes a time for a virus to make the viral load to the degree that then your body detects it's there. But then when your body detects it, you feel like you got hit by a truck, which is why people who get the flu go, man, I could give you the time of day I felt sick. But by then, the virus has already taken hold. So we got to work quickly to give you your antiviral. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So I had a family member who had woken up one day, started brushing his teeth, and he was bleeding a lot. when he was brushing his teeth. And he's like, well, that's odd. I've been taking care of my gums. Maybe I brushed too hard or dental floss too hard. Well, he didn't think much of it, went to work a few hours later, and then he began to have a nosebleed. And his colleagues said, whoa, you really better get yourself checked out. And he went into something called ITP, idiopathic thrombocytopenia, or immune thrombocytopenia. And he was losing his platelets. And when you lose your platelets or your clotting factors, you could bleed heavily, bleed severely. And sometimes people don't realize this could come on. Some might see a bruise, think of it as a minor inconvenience, but if you do have ITP, that bruising could signal something more serious. It's a rare condition. ITP is rare, but it happens when your immune system mistakenly attacks and destroys your healthy platelets in your blood. 25,000 U.S. adults could benefit from advanced treatment. And we'll talk about this today because September marks National ITP Awareness Month. This allows us to talk about ITP, understand what this could go through, what your loved ones could go through, and how the condition could significantly impact your quality of life. But we have treatments that could address this. What's exciting is the U.S. FDA has now approved Wayrils, a novel treatment for adults that have persistent and chronic ITP and who have had an insufficient response to earlier treatments. I'm really, really excited for our next guest, Amit Mehta, a board-certified hematologist and medical oncologist who is going to talk about how she treats people with ITP and this new treatment. Dr. Mehta, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks very much for having me.
So what is ITP and what are some of the most common symptoms?
Yeah, so ITP, or what stands for immune thrombocytopenic purpura, is a serious blood disorder where one of the main cells in the human bloodstream called the platelet cells can go down to very low or even dangerous levels. The platelet cells normally are involved with helping a person or protecting a person from bleeding and bruising. So therefore, if it goes down too low, you can imagine somebody could be at risk for dangerous or serious bleeding or bruising. In addition, other things can happen also. So for example, people can have other symptoms with the condition ITP, such as fatigue, stress, anxiety, things that are part and parcel of the condition as a whole, even beyond the bleeding and bruising.
Why is National ITP Awareness Month so important?
So first of all, thanks for mentioning it. Coincidentally, September is National ITP Awareness Month, which I feel as a physician is great in terms of these awareness months, bringing attention in a positive way for patients to get attention to therapies, people that don't even have a diagnosis yet and are looking for answers, as well as fueling future research efforts to help people get better therapies in the future, more advancements, and those kind of things that can help patients with ITP around the country.
Tell us about the new treatment for ITP and what makes it so unique.
Yes, thanks for bringing it up. And first of all, fundamentally, ITP, it has been a complex condition to treat. So I'm very happy to be here on behalf of Sanofi as a spokesperson, as just recently there's been a new therapy approved by the FDA of the United States called Wayrils, W-A-Y-R-I-L-Z is how you spell it. But basically, this is a treatment that works directly to inhibit or counteract the main abnormalities inside cells that cause ITP. So this particular pathway is called the BTK pathway, and this particular pathway is directly counteracted by Wayrils therapy. So this pill has been studied in large clinical trials, of course, and what they looked at in clinical trials and they found is that when people get Wayrils therapy, there can be rapid and sustained platelet count improvement by receiving Wayrils therapy. In addition to other things were also looked at within clinical studies, like effects on other symptoms people can have with the condition, like the ones we talked about earlier.
What else should my listeners know about this treatment option?
So besides the possible platelet count improvements, there are also common side effects like any medication that one should be aware of and what physicians will help patients monitor. So some of these common side effects include nausea, abdominal pain, headache, diarrhea. We also have to monitor for signs of infection, including serious infection. Also monitoring for liver problems to make sure that we're checking the right liver function test to ensure there's not a liver problem developing. Furthermore, if there's women of childbearing age who are taking this medication potentially, then effective contraception needs to be used while on treatment and for at least 1 week after the final dose of Wayrils or completion of Wayrils. And before starting therapy, pregnancy status should be checked also for women of childbearing age. And lastly, like any therapy, remember that one has to talk to their physician if it's right for their particular case. Wayrolls may not be right for every ITP patient out there. So talk to your physician to determine what may be the best strategy for your individual case.
I am so glad you came on. This was so helpful. Where can my listeners go for more information?
Yeah, so patients who are looking for more information can easily go online to wayrilz.com, WAYRILZ.com is how you spell it, and you can find more information, including the full United States prescribing information from the FDA as well, so that's easily accessible online.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on. We really, really appreciate it, and we can't wait to have you back.
Thanks very much for having me.
So I really can't stand wearing glasses. I have been in glasses since the 6th grade. And I was jealous that my brothers didn't have to wear glasses. My dad didn't have to wear glasses until, of course, he needed reading glasses. And I just, it was difficult to do sports. I couldn't stand wearing glasses. And my parents wouldn't let me wear contacts because they were anti-contact, so I couldn't get contacts until I moved out of the house when I was 18. But I still didn't get contacts because I couldn't afford them at the time. And I just didn't wear my glasses. And I didn't necessarily have to wear glasses all the time. I was nearsighted, meaning I could see things up close. But if something was far away, then I needed to use glasses. So to see the board, to watch TV, maybe to drive. And now I did the best I could until I'm in medical school. And the contacts were really starting to bother my eyes. I started to develop something called giant cell or a giant papillary conjunctivitis, GPC. And this GPC was, in a way, my eyelash or my eyelid growing tissue away from the cornea to protect itself from the contact lens. My eye was starting to just really bother me. And so what I ended up doing is getting LASIK. And LASIK reforms your cornea. And it's a refractive surgery to reshape the cornea so that your images aren't then nearsighted or farsighted. How nearsighted and farsighted happens is it depends on how the image comes in through the lens and hits your retina. Your image is supposed to hit the retina perfectly, and then it's clear. But if it doesn't, and it hits it too soon, or the image would technically be behind the retina, it's blurred. So the reason why we use glasses or contact lenses is to correct that refraction. And that's how that it's been a science for centuries, and it's worked really well. The problem we're having with some of these procedures is they're not long lasting. For those of you who are older and middle-aged, if you later get cataracts, your new lens can be refracted and give you then perfect vision. Just for those of us too young for cataracts, we have to decide glasses, LASIK, SMILE, this new procedure. Get an exam, talk to your ophthalmologist, and go from there. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
Looking for an easy read that can actually help secure someone's future? Pick up a copy of Mark Falter's book, Common Sense Income Strategies. For the past 30-plus years, Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. It's not rocket science, it's a pretty easy read. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. Common Sense Income Strategies is available now on Amazon or by calling 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Common Sense Income Strategies by financial fitness show host Mark Falter. Secure your financial future today.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com.
Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.